We have some breaking news. Alec Baldwin and weapons specialist Hannah Gutierrez-Reed from the film Rust have been formally charged with involuntary manslaughter in connection with a deadly shooting on the film set. New Mexico prosecutors announced the charges were coming for the pair earlier this month. Baldwin has denied responsibility for the shooting, and Gutierrez-Reed says she does not know how live ammunition ended up in the gun. If convicted, they could spend up to 5 years in prison. Baldwin was holding that gun during rehearsal on the Western film Rust when it discharged, killing cinematographer Halyna Hutchins. A representative for Hutchins' family has thanked authorities for pursuing the charges. For more, I want to bring in now CBS News correspondent Kris Van Cleave. Kris, have we learned anything new from these official charges now?
Yeah, there is some new information in the charging document for Alec Baldwin that we just went through. It's a 13-page document. Among the things prosecutors allege is that Baldwin did not attend the required gun safety training ahead of filming. Instead, the armorer recommended an on-set training session. And in these documents, they say that was supposed to be about an hour. It consisted only of approximately 30 minutes, according to Reed, the armorer, because, quote, Baldwin was distracted and talking on his cell phone to family during the training. That's according to prosecutors. They also were able to look at these charging documents, tell us that there was some video and photos taken in the moments leading up to this shooting as they were rehearsing this scene. And in that video, in those pictures, prosecutors say they saw multiple places where Baldwin had his finger on the trigger of the gun. And FBI forensic review of that gun, that Colt 45, showed the trigger had to be pulled for it to be fired. That contradicts what Baldwin has been saying, that he didn't pull the trigger, that the gun went off. So that's certainly one of the things that is noted in here. The prosecutors also note that that Baldwin has had inconsistent statements throughout their investigation. That was a factor in charging. One thing that jumped out to me as we're reading these, on October 20th, the day before the shooting, prosecutors say the original camera crew resigned, citing safety concerns, commute times, distances, pay, and other issues. October 21, that was when the shooting was. You have a new camera crew, and that's why both the director and Hutchins opted to be in that church set next to the cameras while they were practicing this scene. Typically, they would be outside in what they would call a video village looking at the screens. Instead, because it was a new crew, they opted to be inside. That essentially put them both in the line of fire. Both were shot when that round went off. Other things that stand out here, a series of safety checks that should have happened with that firearm appear, according to prosecutors, to not have occurred as you would expect on a movie set. Not to mention, the documents confirm at least 5 rounds of live ammunition were found on that set, which shouldn't have been there. One note that jumped out here towards the end of the charging documents, no less than a dozen acts or omissions of recklessness occurred in the short time before the shooting, and that does not include what prosecutors say is a reckless handling of the firearm by Baldwin. What they lay out is a set that had a poor safety record for days on end, safety issues that weren't addressed, and then a series of events they argue are reckless and negligent that led to a death here on this set when that gun went off.
Now, Kris, I think it's worth reminding our viewers and giving them some context that Alec Baldwin was not merely an actor in this film, the one holding the gun that led to the death of the cinematographer, but he was also one of the producers in this. And so some of the failures, as you say, that the half a dozen failures, the poor safety checks, the conditions that led that crew to resign earlier, all of those potentially might be something that holds Baldwin accountable. Tell us more about Alec Baldwin and Hannah Gutierrez-Reed's cases, and whether there might be any additional charges coming for the ammunition supplier, because we know that as the armorer, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed was responsible for making sure that everything was safe. That was a failure. But she also said she doesn't know how any live ammunition got in there. Kris, what can you tell us?
Prosecutors told me when we spoke to them a couple of weeks ago that they were not able to determine how those live rounds got on set. When a search warrant was served on the company that was providing the firearms and the movie ammunition, they did find some live rounds at that facility. Those rounds did not match the live rounds that were found on scene. So how those live rounds got there is an unanswered question here. So unclear if there will be additional charges stemming from that, simply because it doesn't sound like prosecutors were able to determine definitively how the live rounds got on set. They would argue that while they shouldn't have been there in the first place, the armorer had an obligation to check the ammunition at least once, if not twice, before that gun ever got in someone's hands, and it appears that those safety checks did not occur. They also argue in the charging documents that because this was a rehearsal and didn't require a gun to be fired, that this shouldn't have been an actual firearm. This was a real Colt 45 that Baldwin was using. They should have been using a dummy gun for the rehearsal because there was no need for a loaded weapon, blanks or otherwise, to be in that rehearsal.
So many times that this tragedy could have been avoided. All right, Kris Van Cleave, I know that there's more that you're going to continue to dig into. We appreciate you joining us.